Howdy. Oh, shoot. Forgot my hat. Hang on. That's better. Hi. Welcome back. So, originally, I was going to do a whole intro about how this video was a little bit late in the season, but had just started snowing outside the window, as you saw in the suit up montage. And that's what made this whole video fitting. But my phone keeps running out of storage, and this is my third time shooting the same video. So we're just gonna roll it, you know, we'll make it work. Welcome to shooting CineStill around the Christmas holiday. This here is take 3 of the second part of a two-parter in a bit series of videos that's a very merry CineStill Christmas. Roll the title card. Right after New Year's Eve, I planned to go out and shoot some photos of the Christmas lights that people still had up, trying to get photos of them before they took them down. The film stock I chose to use was CineStill's 800T, which is an 800 ISO tungsten balanced film, which made it really convenient for this night photography of artificial lights. I went out and I got my roll ready, loaded it into the camera, and I hit the road. And by hit the road, I mean the road immediately outside my house, because I was getting picked up by a friend. I shot this roll with my friend Ronik. Shout out to Ronik out there. He helps drive me around and on occasion also modeled a bit, which was good because a lot of these photos are objectively crap, and without him in them, they would be far less dynamic. So thank you, Ronik. That being said, we went out to take photos of some Christmas lights, and we got to a house and I took a photo of their tree, which was decorated, and their house in the background with these beautiful, colorful lights, and the frame came out looking like that. You see the problem? I'd underexposed this frame. I had my phone's light meter set to the wrong settings, and it was just reading the scene wrong. So I shot this frame and it was not exposed barely at all. I couldn't get any information off the negative, and this was the result. That being said, I didn't know this at the time, so I kept on shooting ignorantly. The next place Ronik and I went was a neighborhood that also had cool Christmas lights. But beyond the houses with cool lights, it had bridges inside the neighborhood that had these really cool street lamps going on. So I wanted to get a photo of Ronik under the lamp, and I took this one here, another underexposed shot. I don't know if I mentioned this, but CineStill films are pretty expensive. This one I bought from the lab I get things developed down in Nashville, the Third Man Photo Lab, which is actually a recording studio that develops film on the side. Shout out to them. And I bought this roll there for just too much money. So wasting the first 2 frames out of 12 on this roll feels kind of like shooting 2 30-minute segments of video on a phone that was running out of storage, so it shut off the video and didn't record any of it, and then having to sit down a third time to do it again, and being obligated to doing it that day because for some reason you thought it'd be a funny bit if you dressed up all formal like for your part 2 of your very merry CineStill Christmas video, hypothetically. But whatever. I learned from my mistakes, just like I am now, deleted files off of my phone, and more importantly, when I was shooting that film, I changed the settings on my phone's light meter, took more specific spot meters of the midtones, and I got better results. Not good results, mind you. They still came out looking like this. but at least they're usable. This next shot I took of Ronik in the middle of the bridge, I wish I had just taken a little bit more time to square up that composition, because Ronik did a really good pose and I missed it. I also underexposed it again, so he gets lost in the shadows too. Sorry Ronik, if you're watching this, you deserve better. On our way out of the neighborhood, there was another one of these streetlights on a bridge, and I took this frame here of Ronik. Aside from the obvious things, yes, it's underexposed, I think this goes to show the strong halations that you can get from CineStill film, especially CineStill 800T. It's one of the most defining characteristics. So those halations on top of the glare that's already caused by the lens flare with my camera, this photo came out pretty unique, and I kind of like it. If you want to learn more about halations, I talk about it in my previous CineStill video, which you can find over here. Now at this point in the video, you might be asking yourselves, hang on, I'm pretty sure the title of this video was A Very Merry CineStill Christmas. Where's all the Christmas action? These are just cool looking street light photos. To which I would say, first off, thank you. But also, yes, I was thinking the same thing. So right at the exit of the neighborhood, there was a little entrance thing with the Christmas tree, and I thought I'd get back on track, get more of that sweet, sweet Christmas content, and I took this photo right here. Okay, yes, bad composition aside, I think this really shows the strengths of CineStill, especially when it comes to shooting for Christmas videos, because it draws a lot of attention to those bright pinpricks of light on the Christmas tree, and also creates a very dominating halation around the street light right outside of the Christmas tree. And I think that's cool. I don't know, I'm too tired to come up with better commentary about that photo. It's not a good photo, but the film stock carries it a long way. Continuing on my kick of actually delivering Christmas content for a Christmas video, we went to another neighborhood. This time I was looking for more colorful Christmas lights, because CineStill 800T is a color negative film after all, and from what I've seen, it delivers beautiful colors. Most of the photos I had taken up until then were pretty monochromatic with some yellow lights. So I was really excited when we found a house that not only had these beautiful blue, red, and green lights, but also was playing Christmas music out by their mailbox. And I don't know, maybe it's because it was really freezing cold outside, something like that just brings a little warmth. And yeah, the colored lights did exactly what I thought they would do. CineStill made the little pinpricks of lights bright halations, but it kind of glowed and gave the whole thing an ethereal look. That being said, this photo really highlights some of the drawbacks when it comes to shooting on a 6x6 square framed image. I mentioned in a previous video that I shoot on a Rolleiflex, which shoots a square frame on 120 medium format film. The problem with this is, especially with landscapes, a rectangular frame helps the composition just fit into it better. Whereas with my square frame, a lot of the top part is just dominated by negative space that's black because it's nighttime and it's the nighttime sky. If I'd cropped it like this, it creates a more interesting composition and cuts away all of that useless dark space above the tree line. At this point, Ronik and I went out to take some photos of a nearby parking lot which had some cool looking neon signs and also a gas station, because you can't not shoot photos of gas stations and neon signs with CineStill 800T. It's illegal. When we got there, the first one that really struck out to me was the store called Class 101. I'm not entirely sure what goes on in that building. I personally like to think they teach a class all about the class struggle and how the history of conflict has always been the history of class struggle, and that the proletariat will rise again and power to the workers and the people? I don't know. Maybe not. There was also this fun looking building called an X-Church, and Ronik and I could not figure out for the life of us what an X-Church was. So I had Ronik go over to investigate, and while he was there I snapped this photo here. And finally, on our way out, I did get the notorious photo of a gas station. This gas station had like bright washed out lights, nothing like crazy with neon or interesting signs. So in hindsight, I would have found a more interesting gas station, but it worked out. After shooting the gas station, I had one shot left on the roll, and not wanting to go this whole roll only having shot 2 real proper Christmas photos, Ronik took me to one last house with really good Christmas lights. And here, right here, you can see I finally figured out how to properly expose for nighttime photos. Not only are the highlights still prominently featured, which is good, it's CineStill, but you can also see sky detail and detail in the background and the middle ground and even the foreground, and it's not just a street light with a barely lit figure. It's kind of telling that the very last frame of the roll is when I finally get it right, because that's kind of the whole journey. It's about learning as I go along. You know, I never like to think of myself as like a proper photographer. Yeah, I shoot photographs, but a lot of this is a technical interest, and the rest of the creative and learning how to use the tools is, well, exactly that. It's learning, and I've been having a lot of fun doing it. And if you like having fun, like, comment, subscribe, and... Did I get you? No, don't worry. I got 2. That wasn't the last frame on the photo. Go back and count it. There's only been 11. And on 120 and 6x6, you get 12 shots. I ended that night thinking I had finished the whole roll. This was a little naive, I'll admit it. There's a frame counter on the camera, and if I just looked at it, I'd have known I could have shot one more photo out there. But it was cold, and I was hanging out with a friend anyways, so I went home and I thought I was done. And I definitely wasn't. So a little bit later, I took the actual last frame of the roll. There's this one here, something of a self-portrait. And I think it's really appropriate to end on this one actually, because it highlights a few important things for me. First off, I shot it quite a bit after I thought I was done with the roll, which is why this video itself was delayed. Not to mention I took it to the film lab, but they were closed for the whole week due to COVID. Which is why you ended up getting a video about black and white photography interrupting my part 1 and part 2 of A Very Merry CineStill Christmas. I also opted not to have the lab scan it like I did previously, because the scan itself cost $22 and I'm broke and didn't want to pay for it, and instead I used my DSLR. Don't get me wrong, DSLR scanning can get really good effects, but I'm not particularly good at it. So the scans came out with a lower resolution than I would have liked, and it really washed out some of those shadow details, which were already gone because I'd underexposed the film. The image itself, I think, points to some of the more prominent characteristics of CineStill 800T. It's CineStill after all, so it's got those halations. You can see those in the bright bulbs on the LED string light. It's also an 800 ISO film, so while that helps it with low light situations and be a little more light sensitive, it also makes it a lot grainier. This photo here, DSLR resolution aside, is a pretty grainy photo. And as a tungsten balanced film, it was accounting for the artificial lighting that I had primarily filling the room at the time, and it gave the image these really interesting qualities as far as color and tone, and it's not something you get with your normal daylight balanced film, and that's interesting. It's unique to me. There's not a lot about CineStill 800T I could say that hasn't already been said. I've been meaning to shoot CineStill 800T for a long time. After watching YouTube videos like this of other people going out and shooting it and telling me good things. But actually shooting it myself, going out with friends, setting up the tripod, meeting for the shot, missing it, was a different experience. I'm really glad I got to experiment with CineStill this holiday season. I'm glad over winter break I got to introduce myself and you guys to something really cool, and I hope I get to do a lot more of it. I don't know. I had a funny conclusion to this video 2 recordings ago, I'm sure, but right now I just want to say thanks to you guys. I know this is like my 3rd video and there's 6 of you watching right now, but I want to thank all 6 of you. This has been a really good time, and I'm exceptionally excited to do more of these, to make more of these videos. And if you're excited about film photography or just seeing me dress up, okay, actually I can't guarantee I'll be dressed up for a lot of these videos, but you know, stick around, like, comment, subscribe, tweet at me. Yeah. Let's have a good year, all. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everyone! I mean, you know, pretend the last one didn't happen.
Right.